And I think you can hear me now. All right. Welcome to MCJ Report number 199. Let me know that you can hear the broadcast loud and clear by making a comment in the comment section of this video. And while you're at it, let me know where you are tuned in from, because of course I always like to know where in Australia and from around the world my wonderful audience comes from. Now, as you may be quite aware, for good reason, I have not conducted an MCJ report for quite some time. Life doing what life does, you sometimes become very preoccupied with life, living, work, and all of the above. But here we are today, ladies and gentlemen, for MCJ report number 199. And this really is quite a special episode to me, because this is the last show before our monumental live audience event. That's right, MCJ Report 200 will take place on Friday, the 4th of August, right here in Melbourne, Australia, to be specific, the suburb of Rowville. And it looks like we are set for a packed house. That's right. From the very beginning, starting MCJ Report, it was always a vision of mine to conduct a live show in front of a live audience and to put on a monumental performance for each and every one of you. But when we look to the past few years, we know that it wasn't always easy to conduct events indoors, especially if you happen to be somebody that was speaking out publicly against all the madness that has transpired during, let's just say, over the past 4 years, let alone people wanting to check your papers or to check the papers of your guests. It was in absolute shambles, right? But now we're at a time where we have a bit of a window, so we need to strike. Now, we don't know exactly what is going to happen in the future. We don't know if there's going to be lockdowns for other global crises. We don't know. But what we do know is that we need to really treat every day as if it's our last. Is that fair enough? One thing that I've observed from many people in our tremendous movement is the sheer number of men and women traveling so far down the rabbit hole that they have forgot how to enjoy their lives. And it appears that too many people have become preoccupied with the latest doom and gloom story. And I have to say that even from our side of the fence, I do see undue fear-mongering and an unnecessary amount of what I would describe as anxiety-inducing posts. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that anyone should be ignorant. I think that it is imperative that as many people as possible are aware of the global corruption that plagues our planet. We must be aware on all levels, whether it's local, state, federal, or, yes, I hate to say it, global governance. But we also need to be able to compartmentalize. That's right. If you travel so far down the rabbit hole of doom and gloom that you relinquish your own freedom and you stop enjoying life and you lose sight of what's truly important, then let me ask you the question, who is winning? Is it you? Is it us? Or is it those who seek to impose sweeping policies over us so cruel that the average man and woman will no longer be able to enjoy their lives? The question that I ask every person is, why on earth would you willingly submit yourself to a jail cell, stay in that cell despite the cage door being completely unlocked? And that's what I've noticed, and it's concerning, it's upsetting. So that's why MCJ Report on Friday night will be a celebration of friends, family, community, camaraderie, or to summarize, a celebration of freedom. That's right. Do not allow for your soul to be crushed. Do not allow yourself to become so, as they say, black-pilled that you can't see light at the end of the tunnel. Even when the going gets tough and times seem unbeatable and the enemy seems so big and so tall, just know that in the end, good always defeats evil and God reigns supreme. And in saying that, buckle up, because there's going to be some very, very difficult times ahead. We, of course, see the assault on the average man and woman here in Australia, the assault coming via way of cost of living, whether it's removing gas from our homes and making us more dependent on the ever-increasing electricity costs. And I was notified by my electricity provider recently that my rates are going up, and I know that applies to everyone. We, of course, see the rising interest rates. Tough times are going to be ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. So what do you do? What do you do in this instance? Does it help to sit in a corner and to feel sorry for yourself and humanity? No, it probably doesn't. Are you going to have to make some sacrifices? I'd say that you're going to have to. You're going to have to cut back on spending, take measures to earn more money by whatever means necessary. Yes, you're going to need to do that too. And if things get so bad financially, well, that actually sets the climate for, all right, how do I word this? That sets what we would probably refer to as a revolutionary climate whereby mass protests reign supreme and politicians are backed into a corner with no choice, as demonstrated all throughout history. Some of the biggest protests and biggest monumental shifts in how countries are governed come about during cost of living crises, whereby the people simply say they can't take it anymore and hit the streets in the millions. So is that what we're going to see? Or maybe inflation will become controllable once again and we won't get to that point. But nonetheless, no matter what, nobody can take your soul, nobody can take your spirit. Your material possessions, people can take those, but you need to keep focused. That's right. Keep focused, stay happy, and make sure that you never lose sight of what's truly important in life. Friends, family, health, nature. Maybe you're part of a church, maybe you're part of a community. Focus on those friendships, because I can tell you that in the end, that's what matters, not what you own in terms of material possessions. And that's what this Friday is all about. Remembering what's important, staying positive, moving forward, and never ever giving up, and being willing to undertake whatever punishment we need to take. All right? If that's what needs to happen, then that's what needs to happen. If we need to lose our assets, if we need to lose our material possessions, if that's simply what needs to happen in order to pave a better pathway forward for our children and their children, then I say so be it. I think the biggest mistake that people can make in this world is thinking that life is all about themselves, whereby really it's not. You know, we're all just individual people here, and I can tell you that when you live for something bigger than yourself, you're rewarded in ways that money can never buy, or that a fancy car can never buy. So, yeah, I think that everything is pretty good, and we got to enjoy freedom along the way, and evil falls in the end, you know. Daniel Andrews, maybe he will escape jail, but he's not going to escape the wrath of God. And I have no doubt whatsoever that there is a very, very severe punishment waiting for this man at one point or another. Now, I know some of you out there may be saying, hey, Morgan, that's not your determination to make. Well, I think we have enough objective information to really prove beyond reasonable doubt this man is evil. And, he will get a traitor's justice in the end. And if you agree with what I'm saying, then go ahead and put your thoughts in the comments. Anyway, just like a few thoughts. Just having a look here, I can see that Rumble is underway. There's OMD saying no lockdown here. You're coming to Rowville, that's right. And if there is, don't worry, we'll be back out on the streets. I mean, who doesn't love a great anti-lockdown protest? I mean, who doesn't love protesting during a stage 4 lockdown? I mean, we had some of the most fun that we'd ever had in our entire lives. It was fantastic. There's Marianne there. There's Living. There's Penny saying you're from Belgrave. That is awesome. There is Sharon from Frankston, who I have no doubt will be at MCJ Report 200 in Rowville this Friday night. Doors open at 7 p.m. for an 8 p.m. start. And if you are coming to MCJ Report, let me tell you that there is no assigned seating. That's right. So first in, best dressed. So if you want good seats at MCJ Report 200, then I suggest that you be there at the door at 7 o'clock when doors open, so that you can get comfy. Alrighty, so what are we talking about on the show, ladies and gentlemen? I really just have a few news articles here. To me, cost of living is the big issue that really needs to be discussed, or perhaps more specifically, the complete disaster of governance surrounding the cost of living. We know for sure that the government will never take responsibility for the dilapidated state of our economy, and that achieving a reasonable government could be another couple of election cycles away. So we're just going to have to bunker down and do our best to get by. I'm going to pull some articles up on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a shorter show this evening. And let's just have a bit of a talk about that. Anyway, I'm just going to check the other channels. I see Rumble's all good. I see Facebook is all good. There is Ross there saying Assange with 3 question marks. Yeah, I'm sure that all of us here, we support Assange, and without any doubt, what happened to the great Australian Julian Assange can only be described as one of the most disgraceful miscarriages of justice that I think that we've witnessed in our time. There is Josh Brazil saying that it feels great to be watching after a while. You've been working on your Toyota Celica. That is awesome. I remember the Celicas, and when I grew up in the 90s, the Celica was a very common car that a lot of the people a few years older than me would do up and put rims on and would put an exhaust on and that sort of thing. There's Andrew Visser saying there's plenty of money in circulation, and you say that inflation is an excuse. Yeah, well, whenever there is a financial downturn, there seems to be some trends, and that is that, the top 1, 2, 3% of society, they're able to drastically increase their wealth, and the middle class gets decimated. That's right. So people who are, let's just say, very business savvy, and that's probably the wrong term, probably bordering into the predatory category. They love recessions, because in recessions there's opportunity. But for the vast majority of people, it means, of course, losing what we've worked for. There's Aaron there saying, hold the line, never give up. Who here agrees with Aaron? I agree with that statement very much. Julie says that you just sold the car and you started walking and using public transport. Best financial decision for your household. Now, Julie, I'm sorry that you had to do that, but it sounds to me that you are doing the smart thing. I had a chat with my friends before, and we both agreed that we're probably going to need to have more barbecues instead of cooking inside. That's right, in order to save money, in order to reduce our bills. So, yeah, I'll be doing that. I'll be going to parks. I'll be gathering firewood for my barbecue, using a mixture of firewood and coals to do my cooking, because I'm pretty concerned about the cost of energy, and we should never, ever, ever be closing down our coal-fired power stations in a time like this. That is closing down coal-fired power stations without a replacement that is as cost-effective as coal. Let's not make any bones about it. That's an assault on the middle class. It's an assault on the working class. And, if anyone can't see that at this stage, then I really don't know what to say. when I hear people on TV talking about carbon emissions, I just think to myself that that's just like elitist talking points. The average Australian in this country doesn't cares about providing for their family first and foremost. There's Nikki there. How are you going? There is Nikki slicing the head off, just fighting back against the trolls. That's great. Michelle says Dan is demon spawn. Yeah. Do you want me to get rid of him? Let's see. I think I can actually get rid of him. All right. The troll has been kicked out of the building, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Security got onto him. They picked him up. They threw him out on the ground to never return. But actually, they do return because they come back, wearing sunglasses with a wig, with like a fake nose. Or in the world of the internet, they just make a new profile. So let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. Out of all the man-made emitted carbon in the world, what percentage comes from Australia? To what degree does Australia contribute to the man-made emitted carbon that is floating around in our atmosphere? Is it a reasonable chunk? Is it a small chunk? Well, I can tell you that it is very, very small. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I do not support any policy that disrupts the cost of living, that makes life more difficult for we, the Australian people. We know without any doubt, that the greatest indicator of, let's just say, a standard of living is the availability of energy in terms of the abundance, the cost, and the reliability. Simple as that. Countries whereby poverty runs rife, you'll see scarce energy. Scarce. So yeah, there's probably going to be some problems coming around the corner. What else do we tend to see, ladies and gentlemen, when there is an economic downturn? We tend to see increases in crime. That's right. So we see the gap widen between the top end of town and the general public. We see people becoming desperate. We see men who by no fault of their own are put in a position whereby they're not able to provide for their families. And we see people who would usually be law-abiding citizens committing crime. Venezuela is a prime example. Venezuela, back in the 90s, was the envy of so many countries around the world. That's right. It was a prime destination for migrants to move to in pursuit of a better life. A better life in terms of cost of living. That's right. Cost of living and economic opportunity, business opportunity. But what we saw after the coming about of socialism and the crisis in terms of the oil market was that the socialist-based economy just simply could not stand up. And as inflation took over and the Venezuelan currency became worthless, we saw an abundance of crime, home invasions, criminals breaking into other people's homes, tying them up and stealing things. And if anyone thinks that can't happen here, well, it absolutely can. I'm not telling you this as a means of trying to scare you. All I'm illustrating is what has happened in other countries, and we should always remain optimistic, but we need to take measures to protect ourselves and our families. It is much better to have measures in place and to not need them than to need those measures and not have them. So think outside of the square, take action now, and God willing, you'll never need to use what you have prepared for. Who here sees the logic in that? I think that's perfectly fine. To me, that's not doom and gloom. That's just called being a responsible adult who is ready for whatever life comes. Whatever life throws at us, we're going to be ready for it. All right, anyway. Let me just open up some articles here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll show you a bit more about what I'm talking about here. Alrighty, so this video here posted by Senator Babbitt, who, by the way, will be making an appearance at MCJ Report 200 on Friday night. Alrighty, let's just play this now.
The era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived.
Senator Senator McKim, Senator McKim, resume your seat.
Sociopaths like you.
Senator McKim,
I'm not going to cop interjections from sociopaths like Senator Canavan.
Senator
I will
McKim, resume
not
your
cop it.
seat.
And what they've got to answer.
This guy's unhinged. This guy here is unhinged, Senator McKim from Tasmania. I mean, you know, it's as if he has drunk some type of potion that has invoked uncontrollable rage. The man, without making any references to facts or evidence, accusing another man, in this case Senator Canavan, of being a, quote, sociopath, and all but labeling him as a murderer. Meanwhile, this guy here, McKim, is very happy on his salary of $200,000 plus per year, very happy to trash the standard of living for all Australians in the name of carbon emissions. And this is right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the very definition of elitism. I'm going to keep playing.
Answer for is death, disease, displacement, starvation.
That's exactly what's going to happen if we keep closing our coal-fired power stations. Is that what McKim is talking about, or is he talking about something else?
People dying of thirst, arable farming lands turning into desert.
That's what's going to happen without the abundance of cheap, reliable and plentiful energy. This man is an absolute tool. Look at him. He can't control himself. It's like he's been possessed by the carbon emission spirits. They've taken over his body. They're controlling his mouth. They're controlling his arms. He is not in control of what he is doing. You know, this guy right here, McKim, it really reminds me of when I was a kid watching zombie movies, and you'd see, you know, there'd be some sort of infection and all the zombies would be acting the same and dribbling and moving towards trying to infect the people who had managed to escape them. This guy McKim is a real life zombie who happens to, you know, be on $200,000 plus. So don't worry, his cost of living is going to be fine. He's not concerned about the gas getting turned off. He's not concerned about energy prices increasing by 25% this year. No, he just wants to yell and scream. And whilst working class Australia is suffering more so than any time that we can remember. This man is an absolute, he is a POS. Who here knows what that stands for? He is a POS. All right, let's keep playing.
And most likely billions of people dead by the end of this century, and the collapse of the ecosystems that actually support all human life on this planet. That's what people like Senator Canavan have got to answer for.
The era of global warming has...
Yeah, so what do you think about that guy there, Senator McKim? I mean, you know, clearly he's very upset. He's probably the sort of guy that you'd refer to as a champagne socialist, you know, jumps up and down in the Senate and just seemingly has complete disdain for the working class people of this country. I mean, how about we take McKim and we go and put him on, let's say, $60,000 per year. We give him a mortgage with repayments of, say, $3,000 a month, an energy bill monthly, say $600 a month, car repayments, and then we tell him we're going to turn his gas off and we're going to increase his energy on top of that by another 30% this year and increase his mortgage payments. Do you think McKim is going to be jumping up and down, screaming about sociopaths and screaming about carbon emissions and the death of the world? Or is he going to be struggling so badly financially that all he can think about doing is trying to cut back on spending, earn more money to take care of his family? I mean, that's a question for you at home. It's just pretty disgraceful. But I guess, you know, when it comes to Canberra and the average type of character that works within that place, it's really not surprising. And we definitely want more people like Senator Babbitt, Senator Canavan. I think he's doing a great job. Of course, Jared Rennick, Malcolm Roberts, Pauline, Alex Antic. But we need more, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? These people are like diamonds in the rough. They're few and far between, and we need more. So anyway, moving along here. Yeah, Green Senator Nick McKim. I mean, this guy is just an elitist piece of garbage who has absolutely no compassion for the working class people of this country who are now getting completely crushed by the cost of living in our country. And yeah, McKim, this man is the definition of elitist. This is elitist political ruling class that just brings down his fist and is content to strangle the worker, to put his boot on the throat of those who work, who get up every day and who work a real job, unlike this man. And it's just it's so frustrating to me that our Senate and our parliaments are filled with these types of characters. And that was really a big motivation for me getting involved in politics. And for anyone wondering, yeah, I'm still the leader of Freedom Party of Victoria, but obviously we've got some time between elections. I do believe that we need to fight back politically, but of course the wheels of democracy turn slowly. And in between elections, we need to be creative. That's right. And I'll just say creative. How about that? I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to say anything else, but I think creativity is going to be the key to victory. All right. So the RBA, so kind of them, have left interest rates on hold for a second consecutive month. The cash rate remains at 4.1%. And those who have mortgages who have recently come out of a fixed loan period to variable, it would be a complete euphemism to say that they're feeling a pinch. That's right. We have mortgages increasing by $500 a month, $1,000, $2,000 a month, depending. And it's all relative. You know, just because a certain individual happens to have a high income doesn't necessarily mean that they're faring any better than somebody on a lower income. You generally find people with higher incomes have higher expenses. So I think that probably we're going to see a few more interest rate increases. And as I said, ladies and gentlemen, get creative, save money. We need to weather this storm. You know, it's going to take a bit of sacrifice, and it's going to take some faith. All right, what do we have here? A news article I wanted to show you. Okay, so we've got Sky News here saying that the Victoria's gas ban will do the opposite of lowering emissions. Well, whoever wrote this article, let me tell you that the average man, woman, and family in this country, they don't care about this argument. Lowering emissions, they don't care. They want to look after their family, work, comfortably pay their bills, go on a couple of holidays a year, not have to stress if the family car needs an extra tire, you know, have money in the bank for incidentals. I mean, the elite ruling class of this country are so drastically out of touch with the average man and woman. It's actually very disgraceful. You know, it's a little bit disheartening, but that's all we can expect from these types of people. Many of them have never had a real job. I mean, you know, you look at somebody like Dan Andrews and you ask yourself the question, has Dan Andrews ever picked up a hammer? Has he ever actually been on a job site? Has he ever put in a day's worth of actual physical labor? Or has he been a political pen pusher his entire life? During the state election last year, Aidan McLindon coined Daniel Andrews a glorified office boy, and that's pretty accurate. I mean, that's what he is. These people are so disconnected from the real world, and they are destroying our country. Electricity prices across Australia increasing. Here's who's getting hit the hardest. So here's a few stats. New South Wales will see an increase of about 19 to 25%. South Australia about 23%. Southeast Queensland 21%. Regional Queensland 28.7%. Let's see. Yeah, Queensland Central 25%. And some places less. Western Australia announced the residential electricity tariff would be increased by only 2.5%, making a big difference there. Tasmania 9.51%, ACT 5.14%. All right, so yeah, we see major increases there, and I'll tell you what we don't need. We don't need the government further spending our money on public housing. So what you'll notice as the times get tough is the government trying to emerge as the savior of humanity, even though, of course, we know that the mismanagement of the economy during COVID-19 is such a massive contributing factor to where we are today. You'll see the government come out and say, well, we've got a solution to all these problems. We're going to build more houses. well, we're going to give every family $300 a year to contribute towards their electricity bills. $300 a year. I mean, where does $300 actually get you these days, ladies and gentlemen? These measures, of course, just contribute to further government spending, further running up our debt, contributing to inflation and interest rate hikes. And where does the government plan on getting all this extra money from? Well, if it's a Daniel Andrews Labor government, they intend on taxing us even more, increasing the tax on everything. Alcohol tax just went up recently, I think as much as 30%. So all this really proves is that we need opposition to this very bad and disastrous government. And the good news is that we have... oh no, that's the Liberal Party's website. No, they're not opposition. The only opposition to the Daniel Andrews Labor government, ladies and gentlemen, it's you, me, it's we the people. That's right. Only collectively, by maintaining our spirit and doing what we need to do to weather the storm and coming together, can we push back against this unfit and improper government. Now, the Liberal Party, I mean, real solutions to lock in climate action and build Victoria's energy system of the future. Thank you so much, Victorian Liberals, because that's exactly what we need. We need to completely destroy our coal-fired power station. We need to eliminate any prospect of discussing the implementation of nuclear energy. I mean, when the Victorian Liberal Party has a net zero policy that's more aggressive than the Federal Labor Party, you kind of know that you're in a bit of trouble. You know, you see this guy, John Pesutto, who, let's face it, is not capable of fighting, let alone fighting his way out of a wet paper bag. He'll argue with Dan Andrews. They'll argue like cats and dogs about the issues that don't really matter. But on the key issues that are important to Victorians, John Pesutto is completely silent. He's not an opposition leader. I mean, he's silent on net zero, right? Because he supports net zero. He's silent on the drag queens in front of children. In fact, it was John Pesutto whose only objection to Dan Andrews hosting a drag queen event in Parliament for kids was that he wasn't invited. I mean, that is literally the scope of the competition that we have in this state. You know, I mean, you guys already know. So I would go as far to say that John Pesutto is controlled opposition. I mean, he really fits the description, doesn't he? Just kind of opposes the policies that don't really matter and refuses to speak up on the policies that do matter. And this is not very reassuring, isn't it? You know, when I see the Victorian Liberals talking about real solutions to lock in climate action and build Victoria's energy, what I see there is my energy bill increasing. What I see there is families needing to downgrade their houses. What I see is the dream home of a family just flushed down the drain. And you know what? The silver lining here is that anytime in life whereby major change is required in a society, generally things need to get quite low. It's like things need to get worse before they get better. So I'm actually pretty excited for it. I'm like, all right, well, things have to get worse. We'll all survive. We'll keep breathing. And we can look forward to things getting better because that is just the ebbs and flows of life. And, you know, these guys here have a comfortable job. And there's David Southwick there, just a non-entity. That's right, David Southwick, just such a status quo Liberal, will do anything to hang on to his seat. Keep his constituents happy, show up to primary schools, get funding for the local area. So, you know, he's obviously liked in his district. But when it comes to the big issues that matter, that affect Victorians, David Southwick is just like a yes, boss, sure, boss. How high do you want me to jump, boss? Thank you, boss. You want me to vote out more redeeming, boss? Yep, no worries. You want me to do this? No problem. You know, just no gumption, no backbone, not a leader. And it's us. It's us, guys. We need to actually become the future that we want to see. So yeah, that was basically all I wanted to talk about in relation to the cost of living. Just the fact that yeah, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be hard no matter what anyone does, and you know it's going to be painful. But you're either gonna come out broken, or you're gonna come out a resilient champion that can't be affected by anything or anyone. So what do you want to choose? You want to be broken, or do you want to be a resilient champion? Now, I know that there's champions in each and every one of us. Some of us out there, maybe the champion is resting dormant. You just need to give that champion a shake and get into action. And if you are feeling a bit down, then come to the show on Friday. If you can't make it to the show, the good news is that there'll be a live stream. That's right. So you can tune in and watch MCJ Report 200 live right on Facebook, I want to say. So Morgan C. Jonas on Facebook. It will be, free to tune in and watch it live. If you can make it in person, I say the energy will be electric. But if you can't, then I understand that. We've all got lives to live. And some of you tune in from very far away. Some of you are not even in Australia. So, matter of fact, if you are tuning in not from Victoria, but from another state in Australia or territory, or from another country, then go ahead and put it in the comments. I like knowing where people are tuned in from, because what I'm thinking at the moment is that I like the idea of doing in-person events. I've done 200 MCJ reports online. I like it, but I'm definitely feeling the need for something different. And based on what we're looking at for Friday night, we're going to have a packed house. It's going to be a really successful night, lots of energy. I'd like to do the same in other cities around Australia. So let me know if you would like MCJ Report to come to your city. And I dare say that there is a very high chance that we can make that happen. If you see me laughing, I'm just reading through some of the comments here. Julie McLean, I've noticed at the supermarket, just things are costing more money. Absolutely, I've noticed that. So we got to get smart. If you got a rifle, then learn how to go hunting. Dust off the rifle and get together with some people and go and hunt your own food. You got to try and turn as many negatives as you can into positives, because if you don't, the only person who loses is you. And there is Van Presser there saying that many are already growing their own and swapping food and services. Yep, I think that's a great idea. Mark is in Brisbane. I've been thinking about Brisbane a lot. Brisbane, I think, could be a great... I think we'll do Brisbane. I think so. We have great people in Queensland. We have the phenomenal Senator Malcolm Roberts, somebody I respect so much. Gerard Rennick's there as well. Peter Hughes is in Emerald, Queensland. We have Sydney here, Libby in Queensland. Sharon's saying Friday night can't come around quick enough. Sharon, I think you're possibly more excited than I am. No, I'm pretty excited, I have to say. I've wanted to do this for a long time. We're going to have a full house. We're going to bring the house down, and it will be an event that you remember for the rest of your life. That's right. Tickets are in the link to the description, by the way. I don't have many more tickets to sell, so... I'm thinking probably by probably tomorrow I'm going to have to shut the ticket website down, because I'm pretty sure that we're going to hit a full house. And I hate to do that, but I'd hate to be in a situation where, everyone is just like shoulder to shoulder, can't move, can't breathe. Not that we're into social distancing, but it's nice to have a little bit of space. Is that fair enough? Josh says, come back to Bendigo. Yeah, I like Bendigo. I have good friends there. I love Bendigo. Callum, you says that you're from Sydney. Gippsland, Victoria. Yeah, most people who watch MCJ Report seem to be from the eastern coast. That's right. Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. Although we do have some people around some other places. And there is Fee Riley. How you doing? Oh, yeah, of course. Dr. William Bay's in Brisbane. So, Brisbane... I see Brisbane happening. I see Sydney happening. And after MCJ Report on Friday night, I will be taking measures. Callum says, am I going to be quitting MCJ Reports? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that's a good question. That's a really good question. And I was actually intending on speaking about that. So after the 200th show, to be honest, I really can't keep doing a weekly show. That may change in the future, but... to put in perspective, the way that I like to do MCJ Report is not how I've conducted this episode. I want more graphics, more production time, and to spend more time researching in order to deliver a product that I'm truly happy with. Now, to put that in perspective, what I ultimately need for every 1 hour show is 2 days worth of work. And unfortunately, just it's not viable. It's just not sustainable at this stage. So what I'll say I'll do is I will sporadically run the show. There'll be no set schedule, but I'll still be around. I'll still be active on social media. Probably I'd like to promote live events a bit more, and I can see myself running a really stellar MCJ Report live show maybe once every 2 months in a variety of different locations. But yeah, with the amount of time that's required for MCJ Report, the cost of living, bills, everything associated, unfortunately it's not viable for me to run the show. And yeah, I need to work just like anyone else. I need to work, I need to make money. And I've got standards that I like to meet with everything that I do. So this MCJ Report is obviously a lot more casual than how I'd run the show in the past. If you're an astute watcher, you would know that for sure, that in the past it was, even not that long ago, like very polished, lots of graphics, little clips to sort of help build the story. I just don't have the time, got to keep that money coming in, and I don't want to be sinking, and I don't think anyone does. So we'll see if it's God's will for me to return to running a weekly show, or maybe even a show twice a week. Then I'm sure that it will happen. And but for now, I'm going to not commit to a regular show. Maybe I'll come on live and do something like this once a month. But ultimately, as I said before, I'm really keen on doing the live events. To me, that's exciting. I love seeing happy, smiling people all together in one place, sharing in a common energy, who are there for a common cause and a common celebration of freedom. To me, that's like the ultimate thing in the world. So I want to work towards that. I want to put on events that are inspiring, that stimulate the dormant, sleeping champions that I know are within so many of my Australian brothers and sisters. And of course, I'll continue with Freedom Party and doing my bit for the cause. And hopefully you're going to join me. Josh says I can come back to MCJ Report. Yeah, I can see it happening. Just not right now, unfortunately. Man's got to do stuff. Man's got to go and take care of business and get those paychecks and do all that sort of stuff. Sula says live events. Yeah, I like it. I like live events, and I like promoting, and that's another thing. We've got MCJ Report on Friday night. I've enjoyed the process of promoting. I think that I'm a promoter. Maybe I should have been a boxing promoter, but I'm very happy to be a promoter of freedom, and that's right. Live events evolving weekly from my house. Yeah, well, if my address was made public, then again, I was going to say like the trolls would show up to my house, but actually they're quite gutless, so I don't think they would, even if my address was public. I don't think the trolls would have the guts to show up on my door, but you never know. I'm just going to read through some comments here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to hang around for another few minutes before I go. There's Luna Bell there. How you going? Perth Freedom Fighters. Yeah, WA. Yeah, I'm definitely keen for it. So Matt, what's going on with the freedom people around Perth, WA? I'd definitely be keen to go. I've never been to Western Australia before, actually. I've been everywhere in our country apart from Western Australia and Tasmania, 2 places I've never been. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to look at that, and I'd love to sit down with Augusto for a proper talk. There's Jeff Fumador. No, Jefe Fumador. You know what that means? It means, in Spanish, that means the boss of smoking, or the smoking boss. I don't know if that's necessarily in reference to cigarettes or cigars. Maybe it's more in regards to, say, smoking meat. for instance. But Jefe Fumador, he will be at MCJ Report 200, and I'm going to blow his cover. His name's Tony, a great friend of mine, and he founded and operates an incredible business making delicious beef jerky made right here in Victoria. Tony is going to have a table there, FATV Jerky, on Friday night, so you'll be able to come down and purchase beef jerky, the best beef jerky in Australia, directly from the man himself. And the only warning I need to give in relation to Tony's beef jerky is that once you start eating, there's a good chance you can't stop. That's right. It's so good that you might just keep eating one packet after another. That's my only little warning. OMD saying, yeah, OMD, you're on the right track there. That's true. And I want to thank everybody who signed up as paid MCJ members. I've actually gone ahead and I've suspended all the paid memberships. All right, so I really appreciate everybody who helped, and yeah, it just we didn't really get where we needed to get, but at the end of the day, like, I'm very, very grateful to every single person, and we'll see where this goes. I'm never going to say never, and if it's God's will for me to come back and running MCJ Report once a week, or maybe 4 times a week, as opposed to what I did in the past. I mean, in 2021, I pretty much ran the show 4 times a week. If you guys remember, if that's the plan, then I'll do it. I just go where I'm sent, and I just try to make the right decisions, and that's all you can really do in life. Would I want to visit the Dandenong Ranges? Yeah, I love the Dandenong Ranges, 100%. 100%. Love the Dandenong Ranges. I grew up in Emerald, Victoria. Who here knows where that is? So I'm a country boy originally. You take the boy out of the country, you can't really take the country out of the boy. It's like you take the man out of the protest by arresting him, but there's a bit of protest that remains in you. You know what I mean? Yeah. If anyone needs to, I'm just gonna pop our email address. If you have any inquiries, you can go ahead and email admin@mcjreport.com, and the wonderful MCJ team will respond if you have any inquiries, say about the event or anything else. Julie says that you've learned a lot. Well, I'm pretty happy. We've got 200 MCJ reports, right? But also I took out a lot of clips, a lot of small clips, and I never really went back to analyze the views or how many people were watching my videos until recently. And what I've realized is that MCJ Report has garnered millions upon millions of views over the past few years. I know that I very heavily contributed to public discourse during the reign of COVID-19. I know that my commentary helped to actually played a role in shaping public opinion, and I'm very proud of that achievement. I'm very happy with it, and I'm just ready for the next chapter, whatever that is. And I think that it will be in the space of live events. So that's what I'm just telling you what I'm thinking right now. I don't know for sure, but stay tuned. And I think that MCJ Report 200 is going to be very special. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we do need numbers to kick out Dan. Awesome stuff. Anna says, let's do a bus tour to WA with Freedom Party. That'd be great. I don't know how I'd find the time to get off work to do something like that, but we can always dream. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. Hopefully I'll see you on Friday night. If you can't make it to the show on Friday night, then just tune in on Facebook. It's going to be live. And yeah, just keep the faith, keep fighting. And when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. You're either on the train or you're on the tracks. If you don't get on board, you get run over. And this is going to be survival. We'll catch you very soon. I'll catch you on Friday night. All right, everybody. Speak to you.